Hello YouTube, Air Force Maintenance Chief here. We are replacing a door lock actuator on a 2003 B5.5 Volkswagen Passat. After scouring the internet, I couldn't find a how-to on how to do it. It's a little bit tricky, although the part itself was pretty cheap. Got it from Rock Auto pretty inexpensively. Required tools for the job, you're going to need, I used an impact driver, pop rivet gun with two 1/8 inch pop rivets. I used a ratcheting driver. You're going to need some tape. Painter's tape will work just fine to keep the window up. A number 2 Phillips, a trim removal tool. Another driver on the bottom of that is a T20 bit. To the right of that is going to be a number 10 2.5 inch stainless screw. To the right of that is going to be an M8 triple square bit, 10 mil socket, 2 scribes, a hammer, flashlight, screwdriver, punch, and pliers. Here's a close-up of the M8 triple square bit. In addition to the pop rivet, you're going to need some consumables. Use some zip ties to replace the harness retention tape that is just easier to cut off, as well as some of the zip ties that hold the wire harness have poppers that secure into the door panel. I'd recommend you get a few of those. I had a couple break on me. Remove the interior door panel by removing the 2 Phillips screws in the door handle and then the Torx T20 bit at the bottom of the trim panel. Take your trim removal tool and pop off the panel from the actual door and then lift very carefully the trim panel up. There are 3 connectors and a cable you'll have to disconnect from this trim panel. I find it easiest to remove the courtesy light connector on the bottom of the door panel first, as illustrated here, and then you'll be able to have a little more room to disconnect the final 2 connectors, the power window switch, the tweeter connection, and then the interior door handle cable itself. Next, let's go ahead and remove the door handle. You'll need to grab your T20 bit, which you can locate the T20 bolt that retains the door handle in behind the weather strip seal in the aft part of the door. Get your trim removal tool handy. That bolt will fall out of the door handle area, so count your revolutions when you're turning it counterclockwise to loosen the bolt. Mine loosened, and the part of the door handle that holds the door handle in came out after 10.5 turns. From there, you'll be able to gain access to the little cable that connects the door actuator mechanism to the outer door handle. You'll need to take your scribe, very carefully pry it out. It was very easy to remove and disconnect from the door handle itself, as you can see here. Go ahead and remove the door handle by articulating it out 90 degrees from the door itself all the way forward, and you will be able to remove the door handle. Next, go ahead and cut the retention tape for the harness on 2 points of the middle door panel there from 2 standoff brackets, so you don't run the risk of breaking those brackets that hold the harness in place. And you'll merely replace those 4 bits of tape with zip ties, and then go ahead and pull the door lock actuator mount bolts. That is what you'll need the triple square M8 bit to do, and there are only 2 mount bolts that you need to remove. So in order to pull the inner door panel off, you need to lower the window as it's seen in this position, remove the cannon plugs and the other remaining wire harnesses from the inner door panel to gain access to the window regulator retention device, grommet, which is seen here. The trickiest part of the lock replacement is pulling this pin, which I did with a number 12, about 2.5 inch stainless steel screw, screwed it into the plastic pin that goes into a bushing, which holds the bottom of the window into the window regulator. You can see here it's removed. Just go slow and steady. That does go into the glass of the door. So once you get the pin and the bushing out, here's the bushing, get ready to manually raise up the window and secure it with tape. I use painter's tape to pull it up manually and then tape it up out of the way. to facilitate the door panel removal, which you can do once you remove the rest of the bolts, tilt it up like this, the scene here, and then you can get the door lock actuator removed. Once you get the door panel off, I put it on my garage floor. There's some parts you need to transfer from the old lock. There's the cable there, as well as the push-pull rod. There's a cannon plug, by the way, on the back side of that door panel. My bushing fell down on the bottom of the door, and for context, this is where it goes. That's the bottom of the glass. I did the left rear passenger on this car, and the bushing is inserted like so. For safety, I threw a towel in there just in case that painter's tape didn't hold up on a sunny day. You're going to have to pull these two plastic pins, as well as this cable from the interior handle that connects to the door actuator, off the door panel and transferred it in a similar fashion with the trusty number 12 screw. Pull out those plastic pins and they'll come right out once you screw it in like that. And you need to pull the cable through and route it through as well for the new lock. These rivets are going to have to be replaced. Here's the new on the right and the old door actuator lock. So you see you're going to have to transfer a few parts to the new mechanism. Merely get a 1/8 inch drill bit and drill out those rivets, and these are where you're obviously going to install your new pop rivets. Once you've riveted the bracket onto the new actuator mechanism, you need to change the short cable, which is actually the exterior handle cable, to the lock actuator. Transfer that over to the new actuator as seen here, as well as the interior handle rod that needs to be connected to the new mechanism. And you can connect it by inserting it and then turning it 90 degrees, the cable end as seen here. So once you secure the rest of the cable into the new lock actuator, you start to get ready to mount it onto the interior door panel. And here's the new actuator assembly with the parts transferred over. You push the rod to the interior door handle. Don't forget the little weather booting there on the rod and the interior door handle. You have to reverse the assembly as you disassembled the mechanism off of the interior door handle with those two little plastic retention pins that go over the bracket that you had to rivet to the new lock actuator. And I had to just tap it in very slightly. It doesn't take much force to do to get it re-secured back into the door. And then your door panel should look something like this and ready for assembly. Okay, before you position the inner door panel on, don't forget to connect the electrical connector to the door lock actuator. And then go ahead and position the interior door panel in as seen here, and I just merely put one bolt in to facilitate until I could connect everything before I put the rest of the bolts in. I went ahead and installed the exterior door handle in. Once you actuate it back towards it, you can hook up the short cable to the handle and then put the handle retention piece in and tighten down the bolt as seen here, which is hidden behind the weather stripping. And then you can put the two mount bolts in that secure the door lock actuator before again you tackle the trickiest part, which is to install this bushing and retention pin into the window regulator track, which really isn't that difficult. You just may drop the piece a couple of times, but which is also why I only put one bolt on the interior door handle. So this is the final assembly of the window regulator motor, and I used a couple of zip ties. One was a regular zip tie and then one with the little standoff post, which are very handy here. So secure all the electrical connectors to the interior door panel for all the components that you had to disconnect on reassembly, including the window motor and the speaker. Go ahead and put all of your grommets back on. The window regulator motor grommet looks like this when closed. And go ahead and reinstall. I think there were about 10 of the mount bolts for the interior door panel, as well as secure the wire harness that you had to cut upon disassembly with the zip ties, so it looks nice and tidy and it's out of the way there. Furthermore, you're going to have some of the components that connect to the interior trim panel, i.e. the inside door handle cable here that you're going to have to install, as well as the little tweeter speaker and the light and the window switch as well. So make sure they're all connected and ready to go to the door panel. The lower valance courtesy light was a little difficult to install the clip. I installed it with the door trim panel separated like this. Then it's just a matter of reinstalling the trim panel, 3 pieces lower bolt and then 2 hidden behind the door handle there. And congratulations, you've done it. It really isn't that difficult. Hey, Air Force Maintenance Chief signing off. Again, thanks for watching.